Now, South African Airways seems to have fallen out of favour with consumers of late. Tales of government bailouts, rifts within the board have been dominating the front pages and the airwaves for some time. But that hasn't stopped some much-needed brand building. The airline's first real effort in several years, where the carrier is aiming to recapture the hearts and minds of its market and also to position itself as a world-class airline. This ad was made by the Havas Worldwide Agency. It was produced by Velocity Films.
South Africa. Meet South Africa. Look around and meet 50 million reasons to say hello. Come gather round as one. Take a sip, pass it on. Meet a history celebrated in song. One day, meet one day. Meet Thingamajig and a nation that loves to play. Saki Saki, meet Pansula. Meet the original trance. Meet Africa's favorite airline. There's a story in each seat and greatness in every person you meet. South Africa. Meet South African Airways. We're ready to connect you.
Now, any brand manager will tell you these days that understanding South Africa's complicated market is tough and time-consuming, and all too often decisions are made on conjecture and presumption. So let's bust some myths now with some new research from the Yellowwood agency on building brands in a changing South Africa, where we're told the so-called born frees are not all the same, and the so-called macho oak has reached his sell-by date. David Blythe is the agency's chief executive. David, you say, or you asked the question in this research, are brands keeping up with the changing nature, context and culture of today's consumers? You're patently saying they're not.
We're saying they're not, Jeremy, because unfortunately for those consumers who've experienced the most change in the last 20 years, marketers are still treating those individuals as a target and not, I think, getting to grips enough with what their worlds are like and how they can play, an important role in those worlds. And I think it's evident in some of the assumptions that we make as marketers. Like, for example, 94 was ground zero and clean slate, and we've all moved on, when in fact, actually, we all have memories, so that can't be the case. And things like stereotyping, things like cliches, the one you've just mentioned, the macho oak around the braai, is exactly what we're still making mistakes with in the marketing world. So I think there's a lot to still be done there. We also assume that we've become more homogeneous. So the idea of born frees is a false one, in our opinion. And from the research, it's very, very clear that the black individuals who were born after 1994 are less like their parents in terms of their choices. They're less like their family members. They're not even like their white peers who were born at the same time. And they're not even like their own peers. So there's a lot of fragmentation around choice and brand preference and attitude. Interestingly, you've looked at some brand surveys, and brands that haven't kept up with this debate, you're suggesting to us, have simply fallen by the wayside. Definitely, there's some big ones as well, and I'm not sure if you want me to mention them. I would certainly like to hear who they are. Eskom, Telkom, Edcon, even Toyota to a degree, who have not been present in the last 5 years of the Sunday Times Top Brand Survey. And we think that's a lot to do with how people are communicating too. So, doing an analysis from 1997, which is when that survey started, it's very, very interesting to see that those brands that talk in the present, rather than relying on a heritage or a history, or promising a future which perhaps is a little bit incredulous or not necessarily tangible, those that talk in the present are the ones that are rising. Difficult, David, sometimes for brands to get out of that comfort zone, though, because they see that as an inherent risk to what they're doing. Absolutely, but I think we need to all take a close look at the narrative we're telling, and it's not just in our advertising communication. It's also in our leadership and the way the leadership communicates the business and what it stands for and how it's delivering, and that kind of communication has got to be present and relevant. This is interesting. Low prices do not just appeal to low-income shoppers. Yes. What does that mean? It means that value means things to different people right across the spectrum. And if you're more well-off, it doesn't mean that you don't like cheaper goods. And we're seeing this kind of shopping behavior where people are actually buying or having baked beans on toast to be able to save up for that handbag. And it's kind of a post-2008 thing. It is a global trend, but it's more relevant here because of the divide that we have in the socioeconomics in the country and the Gini coefficient. Yeah?
Very quickly, and don't knock baked beans, by the way, very high in protein. Local is lekker, but vulnerable.
So we asked the question, do you prefer international brands? Which brands have transformed in line with South Africa over the last 20 years, and which do you prefer international brands or not? And 84% of people generally prefer local brands, which is a great thing for South African brands. But the younger individuals, those less than 21, are more likely to prefer international brands than the whole, as are females. And we think that's got a lot to do with the way perhaps the youth are being portrayed and the stereotyping that goes around the female consumer in South African advertising.
Well, no doubt an impressive piece of research. Building brands in a rapidly changing market, lessons for South Africa. David Blythe from the Yellowwood agency. Now, a brand that seems to be hitting the mark in connecting with local audiences is the gym chain Virgin Active, with the brand message Happily Ever Active. They've managed to find inspirational stories, authenticity of real South Africans fulfilling their dreams and getting active. This installment features two young surfers who took the plunge and are now leading a happy, active life. Now, as brands look for more authenticity and where storytelling has become more critical, that is referenced in the survey we've just been speaking about, this campaign, in our opinion, hits the mark.
Coming from Muizenberg, with all my friends surfing and all that, I didn't know how to swim, but I did like the ocean a lot. So I would just be like, oh, you guys can go swim. I'll be on the beach, it's fine, it's okay. And one time I was so tired of hearing them talk about the sick turns they did and one pulling in a barrel, and I was like, oh man, I feel so left out here. I need to learn this thing. But I didn't tell him that I didn't know how to swim, so I was like, oh, what a problem though. I want to learn, but I don't want to tell him I don't know how to swim. So I was like, whatever, I don't care, I'm going to go do this. He's like, really? Went to his house, gave me a board and a wetsuit, we went out, and I probably got up for about 2 seconds maximum, and he was like, wow, that's really good. I was like, am I? And I was hooked. I'm doing this forever. I went for about 2 years, not knowing how to swim at all. Making sure that my leash and my board is strapped properly. If anything had happened, I would be really in big trouble if I had lost my board. I was enjoying the sport so much that I actually want to take it to the next level by competing and getting part of competitions. And then I had to learn how to swim if I was serious about it. I went to a friend's house and a friend just told me that he's got a pool, and he took me out there and he just showed me how to do it. A doggy paddle. And that was what I was doing for the first year and a half, because I wasn't very strong at all. My last contest I won in 2005, I won the first black guy to win a South African national title. And I got to travel a bit to California and France competing. I got a 43 in the world. What surfing brings to one's life, I would say, is definitely the stoke, the lifestyle, the friendship, real friends. I thought it was just having fun, going surfing with your mates and coming out the water and having a beer afterwards. But there's actually more to it. I've got overseas from it. I've even been in the advert. Who does ads from surfing, What I had to do, I had to go surf dungeons and just paddle into a few waves out there while I was out there with the legends like Mickey Duffus and Andrew Marr. It's dangerous. It's just you in the ocean, It's Mother Nature, and you just gotta respect it. Surfing has changed my life big time. I think I'm more open now. I feel like I get amped sometimes when I talk because I'm so excited about what I do, I enjoy it. If I don't surf, I go for a run, whatever. Do something to just make sure I'm always active and moving. It's exciting. The next move you have to do, it's always exciting. And landing that next move all the time. So it's a challenge. The best surf I've ever had, I would say, is Jeffreys Bay. Surfing out at Jeffreys Bay and all my friends on the beach. And they see my perfect barrel where I pulled in the wave and I just pulled in so deep and I just came out. And I just looked out, the first thing I looked at was my friends see that and they saw, I was like, yes! That's the best feeling, I would say, definitely.
Hi, this is Roxy Berger and you are watching Mags on Media on ENCA.
Yo, what up everyone? This is your boy Jay Something from Mikasa and you're tuned in to Mags on Media on the one and only ENCA. Peace.
Coming up, the big winners at the Generation Next Awards, our ad of the week, and how you can become an expert in your own industry.
News that moves. ENCA.com.